Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the 13th Fleet After Action Report. I am Chris, your host. We've got some things going on tonight that I am going to be more than happy to tell you about. It's going to be an exciting show because I've got the announcement of some new members joining the team and hopefully some new videos that are going to be added to the channel. But to start off with tonight, we are going to be joined by Garrett and Reuben. How you doing, guys?
What's up, Chris?
What's up? Are not muted today.
Oh, okay, good news. Double check.
All right, good.
Yeah. We've got this done correctly this time around, and I feel like before anything else, we have to address the Garrett's background there.
Oh yeah, that's a good question, Chris. Do we want to talk about our overarching Bracer news first, or do we want to go into
Armada dead for the 15th.
I want to talk about the Starhawk real fast. It's behind you.
Okay, I've almost forgot. So this is we did a Worlds talk. So this is just a joke that it's the Farm Hawk. Because a Farm Hawk won Worlds this year. The Peter Hawk, they're calling it, the Polish Farm Hawk, where it's got a Nebulon B instead of a larger squad ball.
So in other words, it's a Peterbilt?
It's even better yet.
Oh, yeah.
Peterbilt Farm Hawk. So getting Polish grain. Yeah. But yeah, okay, Chris, you guide me. Where are we going?
Okay, well, let's start off with the fact that we have officially set up our date for the Rebellion in the Rim finale. We will be doing that on May 5th, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm really, really, really looking forward to this.
We're going to get shot by that ISD so hard.
Yeah, Rebel's not looking hot.
Not looking hot for the boys.
I mean, the last couple of rounds has actually really turned things around for the Imperials, because it had been a very bad time for us.
Yeah, that last round was a huge comeback for you guys. All victories across the board.
And I think when we scored the campaign points, how were we sitting?
We're like within 3 of each other or something.
Yeah, so basically many points
whoever
no
wins
longer matters.
Pivotal.
Yeah.
Whoever wins the pivotal just wins. So.
All right. So we will be streaming that, and I will have recordings on that. One thing that I do want to point out is that the stream as well as the recordings are going to be broken up turn by turn. I know that sounds kind of tedious, but to be perfectly honest, because of the size of the file involved, if I'm going to get that up on YouTube, that is the only way that that's going to happen, because those turns do take a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's a long battle, and this one will probably be even longer. So
yeah.
Now, we also have a tournament coming up, if I recall what you were telling me correctly.
Yeah, well, first off, we have a tournament on June 1st at Miso's Game Room in Louisville. And this is, we don't have a kit or anything, so it's just Tater gear. That'll be the prizes and some leftover stuff I have. But it'll be a good warm-up. So, and because it just coincidentally, the official season starts on June 1st, but it's a little fast for us to have anything ready in time.
Official season also.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the new tournament structure. But then we have, and this is not guaranteed yet. So, of course, part of everything was everybody has to have their big tournaments. We're calling grand tournaments this season. Applications in by May 1st. We'll talk about it some more. But anyways, I've got one submitted for Hard Knocks Games, which is a big, beautiful game shop in Elizabethtown in Kentucky. So they can support up to like 40 players if we needed to. And it's easy to get to and lots of parking. Anyways, August 24th is our tentative date. Now, there's still some questions.
Most questions.
Yeah.
More than a few.
Is it 1 day, 2 days? But we're going to have to wait for clarification from Atomic Mass Games on whether we have to do 5 rounds or we can do it in 4 rounds on 1 day. because
5
the
rounds in a
announcement said
day,
5
baby.
rounds, which doesn't make any sense for X-Wing and Armada. And I'm sorry, for Armada and Legion. For X-Wing, 5 rounds works okay, supposedly. So
I could say that it does. X-Wing games do take considerably less time than an Armada game.
yeah. So okay, so let's rewind it. So a week ago, we got some very surprising and frustrating news that Atomic Mass Games and Asmodee is not doing a world championship for any of their miniature games anymore. So that's Star Wars Shatterpoint, Legion, X-Wing, Armada, and Marvel Crisis Protocol. And so what that means is there's no like big Adepticon event. And that also means there's no ticket feeding system where you win a regional or like win a qualifier to get a ticket to get an invite to this event. That sucks. Because it really...
So, can I go off a little bit?
Well, hold on. So the new system in place is instead of having a World's Championship, they're turning what was World Open qualifiers into grand tournaments. So these are 32 player minimum events, and that is the highest level of organized play. So their goal here is to have more of these 32 person tournaments with better prize support than usual. And so I guess their intention is to have prizes like we got at Worlds, dice, altar cards, the stuff we've gotten the whole time anyways, at grand tournaments anyways. So the idea is you're supposed to be able to participate in competitive events, get cool stuff, and it be more spread out. However, we have 2 weeks to organize events until May of 2025 in 2 weeks and get your application in for a grand tournament to Atomic Mass Games by May 1st. And then on May 15th, they will then announce all the applications that got approved internationally. And if you're like, that's a lot, you're right. It's very overwhelming because like a lot of places like us, we didn't have like a big Gen Con or Nova Open thing here in Kentucky. So like I'm scraping resources together to try to make sure we have a 32 person event so we get the kit. Because there's no worlds to go to, so this is it.
Yeah, I mean, our typical venue would not be able to hold a 32 player tournament.
Not here. So that's why I got to look at Hard Knocks Games. Because again, this is a resource thing. I can't, I'm not independently wealthy enough to like rent a convention like area as part of a big event. And even if we like all pull together, like you need money to make this stuff happen at big things without Asmodee's structural support. And they don't have any money right now either. So, anyways.
Spoilers.
Yeah. So, anyways, us, South Carolina, Georgia, Ohio, Indiana, Tennessee, maybe Arkansas if they want to get on it. What we're doing is trying to combine our powers and make a grand tournament circuit to where we all go to each other's things to help with this 32 player setup. So if you're interested in being a part of that, send us a message. We're trying to organize everybody in one Discord. Challenging. But that's the plan.
Yeah, I will actually set up a separate channel on our on the 13th Fleet Discord, and we can post all of that tournament information there.
Yeah. Now, one last thing before I let Reuben rant is... So, Star Wars Legion is already getting bailed out by Frontline Gaming, who is doing their own Las Vegas Open Invitational ticket system to where if you participate in one of their events for Legion, you win, you get a ticket, you get to go to their Las Vegas Open unofficial Worlds. They can't call it that, but everyone knows what it is. Now, X-Wing has a overarching organization called Gold Squadron Podcast, based out of Chicago. They haven't announced any plans yet, but they're close to where Adepticon is held, and they got moved to Milwaukee this year. And then, of course, there's Armadas, which is Ion Radios. And so maybe something might happen there. Again, we don't have any Asmodee support, but we're really excited to see what Adepticon says, because they've been dropping tweet hints that like, oh, just stand by. But like, we don't have anything concrete yet. So maybe they'll try to do something like Frontline Gaming is, but for our games. And then since, Gold Squadron Podcast and Ion are so close, they can help, unify communities around that idea. But again, there's no guarantees, no promises. There's just a lot of unknowns. So anyways, Reuben, I cede the floor.
All right. Well, let's start off with the less salty part. And the less salty part is that really, realistically, all AMG is doing, all Asmodee is doing, is looking at what the industry leader standard is. And that industry leader standard is Games Workshop and Warhammer 40k and how they execute their tournaments. And saying GTs is what we're going to back. That's what Games Workshop has backed in the past. They've changed that in the last year where Games Workshop had its own invitational tournament, and that was at the Warzone Open in Atlanta. But that's very new for Games Workshop stepping into the competitive field. Warhammer 40k is a game that I also follow, and it has changed massively in the last not quite a year, but like going back about 2, Games Workshop has become much more involved in the competitive scene for 40k and having a more active part in balancing their game. So it makes sense that Asmodee and AMG would look at what the industry standard realistically is and emulate it, where for Games Workshop there was a tournament circuit with ELO done by players. It was all third party by Frontline Gaming. So it makes sense that in wargaming you would look at that and go, okay, well, if the most successful thing that's like 5 times larger than anybody else is doing it and it works and everybody likes it, we can do that too. Also, it saves us money. Now, on a personal note, I've spent 4 years playing this game, thinking about this game, watching the ships move in my sleep, okay? I got so close to day 2 to be one of 36 people to fight for a chance at day 3. To put in all the work, put in all the effort, play like 2 times a day. Well, 2 times a day, twice a week, 3 times a week for years to get close. And I had a chance and I came up just short enough. And now, when I was ready to take that next step, to look at the next mountaintop, to see if I could really do that after all the effort, and now it's gone. And it breaks my heart. It breaks it because I'm a very competitive person, and it's not a salty competitiveness.
Officially gone.
It's gone. Like, it's gone. All I have now is trying to win a 32-person event, if they even exist. If we can get 32 people. Gen Con, it's too short notice for Gen Con. Maybe we have Nova, but 2 weeks to put everything together internationally for this is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how many events there are going to be. There's probably not going to be that many, and frankly, to be on the cusp of day 2 of Worlds, and then to go to a 32 level event, it's just not the same, frankly. And on top of that, on top of the competitiveness, on top of how I feel, how it feels to be so close and to have that mountaintop removed from you, I also don't get to see all these wonderful people that I've met. And I only get to see them once a year, and I've made so many friendships playing this game.
Yeah, that's the worst part.
and like, I got to hug Poles, and I got my ass kicked by a German guy. I had the time of my life, and I'm never gonna get it again, and it breaks my heart. That's all I've got.
So yeah, so Reuben's right. It's a huge kick in the pants. And this is how all of the communities feel. And then yesterday, or today, sorry, it's Monday. Monday, we found out why.
Funny enough,
I
posted
background
on the Discord.
Yeah, some further background. In 2021, a group called Embracer Group started buying up tons of studios, video games, board games, movie videos, all kinds of IPs. They bought Battle Earth, or Middle Earth Industries and Friends, which is like the original, like the ones that hold the Tolkien estate. And they paid like $3 billion for Asmodee. And so at that point, Embracer was worth $15 billion market cap. And then over the last 6 months now, or last year, they've been selling off studios. They've fallen from being worth $15 billion to $3 billion. 2 weeks ago, they said they were done selling studios. And then today, they announced that they're splitting up Embracer Group into 3 companies. And this is where things get real wild. So, the first company is going to be a battle, or I keep saying battle. I want to say Battle for Middle Earth. It's the first one is Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends.
And Friends.
It's going to be its own company. Okay, that is a positive EBIT company. Like they make like $200 million a year or something.
Yeah. So, explain what EBIT is.
That's how much a company makes before like interest and taxes. So basically, in layman's terms, that's their profit. Okay.
Yeah. Gross.
So like they might have like $15 billion of revenue, but that doesn't matter. They only made $200 million. So, and then you have Coffee and Friends or something. Mm-hmm. Anyways, this is their video games. So they're taking all the studios they have left and putting that one in. This is the part of Embracer that was in debt, like heavily in debt. And then the third part, they're taking Asmodee by itself and making its own company and going to put it on the Stockholm NASDAQ. So it's going to be its own company you can buy shares in sometime in the next 2 quarters. So, but what they've done here is because Asmodee is a brick and mortar based company that sells physical product, okay, with a solid $175 million revenue stream, EBIT, let's say, okay? And so what they did is they've taken another 900 million euro loan, about $1 billion, out on Asmodee, took that money, paid the debt off of the other 2 companies, and then saddled, I think they're at like $1.4 billion in debt, back on Asmodee, and then stripped them off of the company and set them sail. So now Asmodee has like I think it's a 3.95. It's like debt. It's like a debt to income ratio sort of thing. Yeah. In theory, Asmodee is supposed to be able to pay this off in 4 years.
It is
but like,
possible.
It's possible, but that's what that number means, and that's how they got the loan. Because I'm sure they took the loan out against all these IPs, all these product lines I have. Because let's remember, Asmodee isn't just AMG. Asmodee is Catan, Ticket to Ride, Exploding Kittens. Like those games are the ones that make money.
Seven Wonders, excellent.
So this is why Asmodee was like, "Hey, we ain't got no money," because behind doors, this has been going on probably for a couple weeks or months, and they've got to figure out how to trim fat, blah blah blah, and cut things down. And the World Championship is just what's it called? A casualty. And so Reuben doesn't think there'll be layoffs, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see a massive I think they've laid off like I don't know, tens of thousands of people so far. I think we'll see even more because these 3 companies, especially Asmodee, is going to have to trim fat to make themselves much more profit oriented to pay off this loan and keep revenue. They said they're looking for single-digit growth, which is the most reasonable thing anybody's ever said in a long time, instead of all these companies trying to 10 times in like 2 years, which is what their goal is.
Let me jump in here for a moment and introduce our friends from Ohio. We have Trogdor. Can he hear us? Okay. And
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. And we have Damon.
Hi.
All right. So we were just getting into what's going on with the new tournament structure and how they're going to be operating those. So I want to give you guys a chance to jump in on that before, so that we can all be on the same page before we move on to another topic. So Trogdor, you want to start us?
Yeah, actually, yeah, it sucks. I kind of came in the tail end uh, of Reuben talking, and yeah, it's one of those it's one of those really unfortunate things. And I mean, my whole thing was if you need money, just make product, and that's what kind of really confused me. Was like you can sell things and make money. Um, but just from a personal standpoint, that was my first. This past Worlds was my first time making it up to a World Championship. I played in LCQ, didn't get in, but I had a blast, and it's like I'm not gonna get into it too much, but like Armada and the community has been something that has uh, really been a light in a dark time of my life, and you know, it's gonna be sad not being able to see a lot of the friends that I made, over that weekend, and um, yeah, it just really sucks. I think they're really selling themselves short. I think a move would have been, yeah. I mean, if you can't fly people around the world, how about don't fly people around the world? Um, like don't get rid of worlds.
Yeah,
But
that's a point that I am going to touch on here in just a moment because I have my own
yeah,
thoughts about this, and Reuben and Garrett have heard a couple of the things that I think about
mhm,
this, but um,
yeah, yeah. I think the biggest thing is that Armada has a really strong community. And I think if you look at Vassal World Cup as any indicator, I don't think the community is just going to let it slide. I think something's going to happen, which I'm excited to see.
and what are your thoughts, Damon?
Most of the stuff has already been said. I don't feel the loss of worlds as hard because I've been past twice 2 years, but like it's more of the idea for worlds for me. Like Ruben said, and I think Tater said a little bit as well, but like they said they were canceling worlds because it created an exclusive atmosphere, and worlds was literally the most Armada people I've ever seen in one place at one time. Like
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, I'm happy to have more big tournaments and play in like, 20 to 30 people things if they relax the requirements. But like I want to see people, like no offense to you guys, I want to see people who aren't from the three states around me, you
Yeah,
know?
Yeah.
Like I saw you guys like 5 or 6 times last year. And like sure, great, we can do it now and have a bigger thing and have better prizes and that's great, but I don't play Armada for the plastic, I play it for the people.
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
so
That should be a shirt.
I'm gonna go ahead and share my thoughts on this, and keep in mind that again, a lot of the stuff that I look at comes from my experience with other games, and I lean back heavily on HeroClix because I spent a lot of time on HeroClix, and one thing is that the tournament scene got revitalized by another operation that just started running tournaments. It was called the Realms Open Championship, and I've actually been considering talking to Howard Brock, who's the guy that started. Well, he didn't really start it, but he took it over and he made it into what it is. And the concept actually ended up smaller tournaments with decent pricing that went with it, but also a point system that accumulated that helped you get past rounds in their own world championship. And so, one, it made it open to smaller venues, which spread the interest in the game. And they did such a good job with it that actually WizKids, who owns HeroClix, ended up partnering with them for a while, and now they've split off again. But the simple fact of the matter is that WizKids World Championship was actually kind of falling off until Rock ended up bringing things back into the fold. And I think, you mentioned how Frontline Games was doing that with, was it Legion?
Hmm.
Then
Yes.
I honestly think that somebody's going to have to step up and do something like that in this period of time to really keep things going. But who that's going to be, I don't know. I would have to look around and see who is interested in that kind of setup there.
I think my hope would be that like we can build our kind of network. We know that Texas will probably build some sort of network. Hopefully, we hope that the DC area will build its own kind of network, and then the West Coast with Golden State would build some sort of network of theirs, right? And then if we have 4 or 5 regional level Armada playing, the hope would then be that we could have some sort of America US level event at some point. But like that's pie in the sky dream. It doesn't exist. We don't have the local infrastructure of tournament play, like, circuits, anything like that
Yeah.
have really talked to each other to really make something like that happen yet.
Our biggest challenge is Armada and X-Wing are challenging for stores to justify supporting.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
if there's, and that goes back to the whole product issue, because a store does not want to support something that they can't get product for. And, even though there are some things that are still out there, even the stuff that's already been produced is hard to get a hold of for these stores. I had ordered something for X-Wing from Chaotic Good, and it took a month for that to actually get in, because they had to have a certain threshold amount before they could actually get anything in.
And it just doesn't make any sense to me. The stupid ISD-1 would sell so many copies, because Garrett tells me all the time, oh, one of them went for $180. Oh, one of them went for $200. Like, make it $80.
$300, what you meant to say.
Wow.
Like, up the prices, frankly. It's worth it. It's pre-assembled. It's pre-painted. Like, Garrett and I talked about this today. Like, I collect 40K. I'm fine. Like, I understand the value added by having the product built and painted. $60 for this stuff is ridiculous in 2024 compared to the rest of the market, frankly.
Yeah.
But who knows where the factories are? Who knows what's happening? It's just not there.
Yeah, I think one of the big issues with price raises, and Reuben and I did talk about this, is that people know what they bought it for before, and so they don't want to pay more now, regardless of what the product is. And that's a difficult thing for a consumer to get over. The only way you can break that cycle is you have to cancel the game and reissue the game fresh.
The industry leader has done it biannually
Oh, yeah.
for years.
Yep.
Percentages. Like, come on. We're at a point now where we're at 17% on total inflation from, 2 years ago at this point?
And I
put the
mean,
prices up.
if you look at X-Wing's already done it. I mean, we're now on 2.5 on X-Wing. So all you'd have to do is say, oh, here's Armada 2.0. And you're reusing your molds and plastic with updated cardboard.
Yeah,
I do want
well,
to mention. Oh, sorry. I was going to say they also did up the prices for Clone Wars stuff.
Yeah, I
A
was
lot
just
of the
gonna-
legacy ships never got buffed, but it was like a 20 to 40% increase. So like a Venator is like $70, whereas like a Liberty is like 40.
That's
Yeah.
totally reasonable.
and people
and it's
lost
like-
their minds.
We were upset, but like it makes sense. And even compared to the old stuff, like the new models are gorgeous. Like the paint jobs on those are like I just have to consider way harder before like repainting it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no,
Yeah.
I mean you're being reasonable, but like when it happened, people were furious that things went from $20 to $25, which is
I think it was 20. I think it was like 20 to 30, but it might have been 25.
well, they even raised
the
prices
issue.
on some of the old stuff too.
that's
like
true. It was
squad packs.
some of the old stuff, not all the old stuff.
But like,
I think part of it was also people are used to looking at it with their store discounts. Like most online retailers or physical retailers sell with like anywhere from like 10 to 30% off.
Yep.
Just because that encourages them to sell it and not you just buy it online from distributor. So like when Asmodee showed it, it was like, oh, starter set's like 120. And it was like, oh my gosh, but you're not going to buy a starter set for 120.
right?
Anyway,
Yeah.
So now that we have you guys online, I know you guys had just finished a game there. love to hear some of the things that you have planned for the channel here, because I know we're welcoming you into the fold, and you're going to be sending us some videos from Ohio, and I'm really looking forward to getting that added. Probably won't have your stuff on the Twitch streams, but we will have the videos put up on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I think for a long time we've kind of just discussed it. I've just been getting back into Armada from a hiatus from COVID past January. Before that, we kind of wanted to do content, and then, yeah, just kind of was one of those things like, why reinvent the wheel? Why not partner with another group? We already have so many different Discords and channels and whatnot, and there's really no need for that. So, no, we're happy to participate and get content together. We're looking at we game weekly. So we're going to try to get 2 or 3 battle reports out a month. There has been a lot of talk of looking back at old like Master of the Fleet stuff and just how outdated a lot of that content is on YouTube. Going back, it's like even here's a popular one, Flying Demo. You look at the rule change on Demo and how he can maneuver, and so that needs to be updated. That's a big one, especially with like Cog, being a very popular archetype. A lot of those tutorials, how to in 1.5. So I didn't play a lot of 1.5 before I took my hiatus, and so coming back, it was like Damon had to get me up to speed on all the 1.5 stuff. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're really looking at, and we're open to suggestions, and we're just here to kind of help out, and we want to participate to the community.
We are definitely thrilled to have you, and I am actually planning on picking Damon's brain because I've been playing some Separatists lately, and I tried messing around with Dooku, and could use some help on the build there.
Damon, you did something to my local, because now it's just Seppies everywhere.
Yes. Yes.
It went from Empire, and now it's just Angry Beach Balls and Invincible, and then like hard cells. They're all just flying around, and I'm just trying to shoot them. It's ridiculous.
Well, I have to say, part of that was because I got a good deal on both the starter set and a Recusant, so I'm trying to learn to build around that.
Yeah, we had the issue at Worlds for our team tournament. 3 out of 4 people mained Imperials, and so it was who's going to be the sacrificial lamb to play something else, and it was Mr. Levon there trying out some Rebel 2-ship.
I haven't played Rebels in like 5 years. It was rough.
Embrace the brick fleet.
Oh man. Well, Reuben and I have a encounter over an objective, and again, I had hyperspace assault in my list, and I didn't have a small ship.
Oh no!
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh.
So my opponent picked it, and he was like, "What, do you want to pick something else?" I'm like, "No, I need to drink my poison. Let's do this."
Did you at least put the GR75 in hyperspace? Drop it somewhere safe.
No.
Shame.
No. I know. I need to read my objectives.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of reading
involved.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. I was just talking to some guy tonight about it. But yeah, speaking of the new factions, I've been looking at playing some more GAR recently, because no one in our local Ohio plays it really. I think there's like one guy, but he's not super frequent. But yeah, I mean, again, a lot of the old content, old strategy advice is all about the old stuff, right? And a lot of the new stuff has very particular ways it flies. Some of it actually requires subtlety and nuance, like the Separatist faction, and some of it is point forward and hope you don't explode, like the GAR faction. So hopefully we can help people out with that.
Fired. Garrett, you got a response, my man?
I've been turning all those ships and doing anything else.
Garrett, we should talk about that one game where you overlapped the same B-Wing 3 times.
That was pretty amazing. With trying to maneuver my speed 2 arcs with my one-click Venator. It was amazing. I love
At the
it.
end of turn 2, it actually ended up further back on the board than it started.
It was moving faster, getting overlapped than it can physically.
Mhm. It was great. I loved that.
Well, I love that you guys are going to try to bring in some how-to and some instructional videos, because to be perfectly honest, that is not a strong suit for me. I am still fairly new to the game and am still learning how to do a lot of the things in there. I think I've progressed a long way in the time that I've been playing, but as far as feeling confident enough to say, hey guys, this is how you do this, that's not necessarily my thing.
Yeah, luckily we have some pretty good specialists in our meta, like guys that are really good at like one or two things, and so, yeah, that's probably how we're gonna break it up. So it won't be the same guys over and over again. We're gonna try to get more of our meta guys, and throughout the videos. So there's a crew of stable 4 to 5, and then there's a couple outsiders that kind of rotate in. There's a couple of what we've started to coin Armada boomers, and that'd be like guys who started before COVID, and then Damon and those guys they're Armada Zoomers. So it's really interesting. A lot of us that kind of started before COVID, stopped at COVID, and now are coming back and having to catch up. And yeah, so there's some guys that are thinking about coming back around, and it's good. It's good. Columbus is really growing, and we got Thunder Forge monthly. Is a store up in Tip City. It's just north of Dayton. Thomas up there throws an event every month. The next one's on May the 4th. So we're gonna try to get some people to go out there. So I'm gonna try to do some tournament stuff, and yeah, it's good. We're getting movement.
So this is just more for my enlightenment and what you guys would like to see, and I think you guys have a pretty good finger on the pulse of Armada here. I would love each one of you to tell me exactly what you would like to see on this channel moving forward, so that I can start trying to expand and get some good stuff on here. And I'll start with Garrett, because you're in the corner.
Oh my gosh, that's a heavy question to open up with. You want to know what I'd like to see more on the channel?
Yeah.
I really like this kind of stuff right here, where multiple people that I'm interested in listening to talk about topics related to Armada, Star Wars in general. I really enjoy listening to people converse. So I'm guessing other people like that too. I mean, I guess that's why podcasts are so popular. Especially talking about like maybe picking a topic related to Armada, like squadron play, and then like really going deep into it and talking to each other. And then that's also good for people to listen to who especially are not, experts at the game. They like to hear people who are familiar with the game talk about things. It really opens up, how they think about squadron play, for example.
Yeah.
So it's like a piggybacking off, the how-to videos, but it's like a podcast about, the game itself. If that makes sense. That's what I'm
No,
gonna
it
go
does make sense. It makes a lot of sense, and in fact, I from the things that I've heard from some of the people who've made comments on videos and everything, it may be worth the time to try to figure out a day that I can do a day each week that I can do the Armada, and a day each week that I can do the X-Wing in the podcast format, because I think doing the every other week has kind of diluted the content, but we'll see.
Oh, I don't know. You can every other week's quite a bit still.
Okay.
Like, to be fair to you, I mean, trying to do both is a lot on you, but some of the podcasts I listen to are like once a month, and it's plenty for me, right? So the fact that we're putting out like one every 2 weeks and sometimes weekly is a lot of content.
Okay.
So well done to you, actually, because it's hard to get everyone organized, talk, and then move forward. So
I'll try to do
listen to
better to
stuff
have
like-
topics.
Yeah, because I listen to Legion 99, which is a Star Wars Legion podcast. Notorious Scoundrels, another Star Wars Legion podcast, and they're like bi-weekly, monthly, and they go for like hour and a half ish typically. So like we're way less rambly, which is good because every podcast starts with a good 20-minute ramble, and we don't typically do that, which I think is pretty positive for our like content generation. So every other week, totally reasonable for me as like a person who listens to a lot of podcasts too. And we do a stream every week,
Yeah.
typically, unless
Unless
Chaotic
something
Good
happens,
kind of gives us
yeah.
the old undercut every once in a while. Happens. But personally, I'd like to specifically me, what I would like is I'd like to talk more about how do you prepare for a tournament, because I put a lot of emphasis myself in how like mentally, physically, discipline wise you actually take that step from going, oh yeah, I play Armada once a week, it takes me like 3 hours to get through the game, and taking that transition step from I'm a casual person that enjoys this game to going, okay, I'm going to this tournament. How do I go to this tournament with the intent to win? That's just, I've taken that journey in this game. I really like that kind of self-actualization stuff. So I'd love to talk about it.
Okay. Trogdor?
Yeah, like Reuben said, that I just want to kind of put a cherry on that. That going and playing a 1 3 hour game and then playing 5 games in 2 days. It's rough. Or 5 games in one day, just physically. So yeah, I don't think a lot of people think about that, and I think that's a great topic. I think for me, more of like meta talk, like what's being played, what's not, why, what's out there that just hasn't been unlocked yet. Because I think there's some cards and some cards combos and upgrades and stuff that I think have potential, but no one's really sat and worked stuff out. I think there's some stuff there with Gar. At least I hope so, for it to be, a reasonable faction. But I think more like I'm a big competitive guy. I love competitive coverage. So yeah, that's kind of my scene. Yeah, I think there can't be a neglection of the casual side of the game as well. So I don't really know where that balance lies. I'm not the one to ask about that because yeah, I'm the competitive end. But yeah, just like tournament coverage, tournament talk, I think is something I'd like to see.
Okay. Damon?
I'm a little bit more biased, but I like little like after action reports where it's like they go into a fleet they built, why they built it a certain way, what they wanted to do, and then how it performed, and then how they would then like their reactions to that. Right, like okay, when I then change it, was I happy with it? Was I still unsatisfied? Etc. And getting that kind of chopped up, like, and that way you can get maybe a couple games of stuff in, like not show the full thing, right, but show like it written or like pictures were written, but I mean, you're doing videos, right? You can show like you can have pictures pulled up or show like clips from it and stuff like that. Just like blaze through a couple games, and that's kind of like a tournament recap form of it. So similar to like the prep for tournament, right? But like the prep for tournament, then the tournament, then after, like what do you do from there, right? Because it's not just it happens and you're done. It happened. What do I do from here?
Yeah. Because I think we're all always looking towards the next game.
Actually, that might be something cool for since Reuben has a passion for that. Reuben, you can document everything from your prep to your tournament to then post. And
Dude, my stuff's crazy, man. Like
You can post his playlists.
Yeah, there's like Garrett and Nick have both seen me like focus in and get in the zone, and it's a real thing. It's definitely like a sports mentality about it.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do a Reuben documentary.
It's outrageous, yeah. Me flying too close to the sun and getting melted, and then
and to throw out a joke again that I had said earlier, we're gonna do a Reuben documentary, and we're gonna call it "She Thinks My Starhawk's Sexy."
Well, Garrett, to Damon's point, how how are you feeling about Grievous? So you've been playing an iteration of the CIS Worlds list that's 134 with Invincible Hard Cell Flotilla, right?
Yeah.
So, but you've made a couple of different choices with your squad ball, and you've put in what, 2 games now, right? Playing
Yeah.
Grievous
Yeah,
with Watt.
basically, and just to be clear, not Grievous the Admiral. I'm taking Trench.
Yep.
But Grievous in the Belbelub, which nobody likes because it's a lot of points. But honestly, I liked him a lot. I pair him with, the 2 Tri-Fighter Aces and Watt, and then a couple of generics with reserve hanger decks, and he's just a tank, quite frankly. Because once, Watt's taken out, Grievous is still there, and as the game progresses, especially like in the middle of a squad fight, once your aces start exhausting their defense tokens, he rolls like Vader does in the TIE Advance, where his crits count as hits. And I have flight controllers on the Providence with Trench, and Grievous rolls 5 dice, 3 blues and 2 blacks, and that messes things up. So I've liked him a lot. I'm going to keep flying him and see how it works. Also, the other thing about him is I don't need to bring boosted comms on my Providence, because between him and Watt, I've got Relay 3, which is super useful. Especially when I've got like a Hard Cell or Gazanti like following behind a little bit. And if I can arrange the squadrons out, I can activate squadrons at longer than boosted, right? Between I reach out to Grievous and then I reach out to whoever's in front. And so that's been really cool because Grievous is Relay 2 by himself. And yeah, so I'm going to keep practicing with that, see how it goes. But essentially, my squadron ball is the 2 Tri-Fighter Aces with their dumb names, and then Watt, Grievous, 2 regular Tri-Fighters, and then 3 Hyena Bombers, which are really useful at taking out ships. And with Trench, I'm activating 5 at a time. So, and then I have reserve hanger decks for an extra Tri-Fighter, basically, after one of them gets swiped. So, it's been good. Trench is so good. I regret not using him like a long time ago, but between using him with like Rune Hako and Honda or Tykes if you want to bring him, it's just, can't beat the squadron commands. And it's great insurance against like somebody with like raid like Dooku.
But
because
I like
then
Dooku.
Who would ever play Dooku though? I mean, such a B tier admiral.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just gonna say now that I have actually played a game with him, I like him, and I thought he was going to be a little bit too advanced for me, but I don't have the build right. I don't know. I've got to figure out what goes around him, but I really like him on that Munificent.
Yeah,
It's just very interesting. It's one of the few admirals that that is about your opponent and not about you. Like almost every admiral in the game is making my ships better. And that changes how you impact, right? Like Kraken or Ramadi, both play with positioning, and that is okay, how do I position relative to my opponents while still getting my benefit, right? But Dooku was purely, I am messing with my opponent. How do I deal with that? How do I take advantage from that? And that's very interesting.
Yeah, we also have.
Oh, good.
We also have Draven on the Rebel Providence in our meta now, because inspired by me, the guy just loves the Rebel Providence. He's been playing it in our Rebellion in the Ram campaign, and I played against him with Draven, and Draven is weird because he's like Dooku, where he impacts what the opponent's ships can do and doesn't necessarily make your stuff a lot better. And incidentally, I'm playing a variation on the Assault Frigate and MC-30 Akbar list that made top 8. I've been having a ton of.
Oh, it was. There were 2 versions of it, but they got 2nd and 4th overall at Worlds.
Yep. Mine is a variation on the squad ball. I'm playing Wedge, Dutch, Lando, Chara, YTs instead of Jan YTs. I love Wedge Dutch. Also, now I'm I've got this guy pestering me about books, so now I'm listening to Rogue Squadron, and Wedge is great. So Wedge Dutch, great. I call it Defender Squadron.
Draven is
Thanks.
definitely
Thanks,
worse
Garrett.
than Dooku in terms of applying raid, but the thing is, he's in a much more versatile and tricky faction. Like Rebels have a lot more weird stuff to use him with. Like they've got the Cham and the other boarding team, not Jin, but the
Rex?
Shriv. That's the
Right.
one. Knock off the thing. They've got Rex. Yeah, they've got way better access to mines. They can move rocks with Ezra. Like they can do a lot of weird and tricky stuff. And then Draven can technically toss out a lot more raid than Dooku on select ships.
Mhm.
So for those grindy games, like I feel like you could get some value out of him there that you wouldn't get from Dooku usually.
Yeah, my experience with it was that he didn't particularly consistently attempt to raid all of my ships every time they did anything. So I was able to push through with 2 comms nets and Ahsoka to flip my tokens around and just kind of said, well, I'm going to do a squadron twice, and I understand that I'll do dial token, and then my second wave the next turn is just going to be dial. But it didn't super impact me, but still it got me thinking about it like, maybe this isn't like S tier great, but like you said, there's a bunch of weird stuff that you can do with Rebels. You just have to get ships that are innately tanky by themselves. So maybe we're in some sort of variation of how we're like the MC30, CR90 kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't play that style of Rebels. I like the bigger stuff personally. So I'll probably have to watch him play some more, see if I can pick up any innovation off of it.
I think the other interesting thing about Draven is the fact that you can see all the dials on the enemy.
Mhm.
Which, as Damon's pointing out, like it's not amazing, but at the same time, like that's an extra ability that's just inherently on the card. So if you're thinking like ahead on like how the other person's going to play, it can help, especially at like medium skill level, because at higher levels, you pretty much know how another person's fleet's going to play. But at a medium or casual level, seeing what the other person's planning on doing, it could be helpful. And there's in all games, there's stuff in the game for like I don't want to say amateur players, but like your normal average players, right?
Well, with that, we are going to be cutting it short tonight. I want to let you guys, first of all, thank Damon and Trogdor for joining the team here. And we're really looking forward to some stuff from Ohio and seeing some new videos there. And also, thank you, Garrett and Reuben, for being on tonight.
Happy to be here.
All
Yeah, I
right.
just got my stuffed tater, so I need to open that package. I'm excited.
Oh, cool. All right. Enjoy.
And Damon, I am going to be sending you my build at some point to look over and tell me what I need to fix.
Heck yeah, I'm excited.
All right. Well,
Love seeing more Sappies in the world.
I am going to say goodnight to you guys and close out the show with the audience. So take care.
See you guys.
Have a good night.
So, with that, like I said, got some things coming up here. First off, we're going to be looking forward to new content from our Ohio folks. I would love for you guys to get on the Discord and tell us about what you want to see on the show. Also, tell us what tournaments you've got going on so that we can really help support the community. Because as we build the community, we will be able to hopefully put some more pressure on Asmodee and start getting worlds back, getting things that we really, really want to see to come back into the game. On top of that, I want to remind you that May the 5th, not the May the 4th, it would be nice if it was May the 4th, but we want to say that we are going to be doing our finale of Rebellion in the Rim, so I hope you will join us on Twitch. If not on Twitch, then watch the videos that are going to be going on YouTube afterwards. Again, we're working on a tournament in August. Don't have all the details on that, but as we get closer to that, I'm going to tell you more about that. Now, on top of that, we will be doing X-Wing stuff still, so we do have Tuesday night X-Wing tomorrow night. Not sure what we're going to be throwing on the stream. It's an interesting time for everybody. So I look forward to what the future has to hold. I want to thank you guys for watching the show and sticking with us. but I also really, really would love to hear what you think about the content you'd like to see on here. On YouTube, you can go ahead and put comments by the videos. I do try to respond as quick as I can, although sometimes it's been as much as a week before I get responded to. On top of that, Discord is open, and on the Discord, you can hear from everybody, from Garrett, from Reuben, from Nick, from Trogdor now, and from Damon now. So this is going to be a really good opportunity for you to interact with folks and maybe get some things planned out. I don't yet have something set up for tabletop simulator games on there, but maybe if it's something that people are interested in, I can get something set up for that so that you guys have a channel that you can actually jump on and share things with that. So got a lot of things I want to toy around with, but unfortunately I do work full time, so I do have a lot of demands on my time. I keep really busy, but I do try to get videos up as often as I can. And JBC 98K, thank you for your support. I hope you will continue watching, and I love it that people are interacting. With that, I am going to say good night, and I hope you guys have a great week.